Allow me to speculate, y'all. What if Cern was an ancient machine that was reverse engineered and built out in order to peer into other timelines? Different versions of reality. Have you ever heard of Project Looking Glass or the Vatican Chronovisor? This is a good premise for a science fiction novel. So I bring to the masses today a short science fiction story I concocted called The Nebulizer. By the way, y'all, my name is Active and I am not AI. If you're new to the channel, go ahead and leave a comment and hit the subscribe button. That way you'll see more of my videos. Now let's dig in. There are doors in this universe which were never meant to be opened. Human beings, unfortunately, have always mistaken a locked door for an invitation. The tablet. Dr. Louis Marquez had spent 23 years studying dead languages, Sanskrit, Sumerian, and scripts so old that archaeology could barely identify them. He was 48 years old from Salamanca, Spain, and possessed the irritating habit of doubting everything, including himself. That was why the Institute of Forward Progress recruited him. The invitation contained no government seal, university letterhead, or signature, only a date, a location, and 4 words. We found the destroyer. 3 weeks later, Marquez stood beneath the French-Swiss border inside a chamber that officially did not exist. 9 specialists waited for him. Evelyn Roth, an American theoretical physicist who was usually the smartest person in the room. Arjun Mehta, an Indian historian of Vedic religion who publicly mocked superstition while privately fearing it. Sofia Petrov, a Bulgarian mathematician who treated reality like an equation. Father Matteo Bellini, a Vatican archivist who carried a wooden rosary. Amara Okafor, a Nigerian archaeologist who believed governments buried more history than they uncovered. Kenji Sato, a Japanese quantum engineer with almost no instinct for fear. Helena Weiss, a German psychologist assigned to watch the team. Colonel Marcus Vail, who viewed every discovery as a potential weapon. And Elias Ward, a British cryptographer who claimed patterns sometimes spoke to him in dreams. At the center of the chamber sat a black stone tablet recovered beneath an ancient temple complex in India. It had not been buried. A prison had been built around it. 30 feet of stone. No entrance or staircase. Arjun stared at one symbol. A circle surrounded by 12 curved blades. Destroyer. Vail smiled. A weapon? Arjun shook his head. No. Ward began laughing. Everyone looked at him. It's not an inscription. He pointed toward the tablet. It's an instruction manual. For 11 months they decoded it. The tablet described no prayer or mythology. It described engineering. According to the equations, reality was layered like invisible pages occupying the same space. Sophia called them adjacent probability states. Roth called them other timelines. The tablet described a machine capable of creating the I between moments. Not exactly time travel, more like a window, a way to observe worlds where wars never happened, civilizations survived, dead people lived, and completely different futures unfolded. Vale immediately understood the possibilities. Imagine seeing the outcome of a military decision before making it. Amara looked at him. You mean winning it? The frightening part was that much of the required machinery already existed. Superconducting magnets, particle accelerators, cryogenic systems. Cern possessed nearly everything they needed. But while decoding the tablet, they discovered something else. An offshoot technology. Certain frequencies didn't manipulate matter. They manipulated information. Files began changing without being opened. Dates altered themselves. Documents disappeared and reappeared. Metadata rewrote itself. At first they thought the system was simply hacking computers. It wasn't. It appeared capable of entering information networks and changing the historical record itself. Vale ordered an experiment. They created a fake book, a completely fictional scientific text written by an author who had never existed. They printed it inside the laboratory, then backdated it to 1974. They activated the machine. Seconds later, the internet changed. Library databases listed the book. Old newspaper archives suddenly contained reviews. Academic articles from the 1970s referenced it. Photographs appeared showing the fictional author attending conferences decades earlier. Marquez stared at the freshly printed copy sitting beside him. The ink was barely dry. Yet, according to the outside world, the book had existed for over 50 years. Amara stared at the screen. Those articles weren't there this morning. Sophia shook her head. They weren't there 5 minutes ago. Vale leaned closer so we can insert something. Marquez understood where his mind was going. Or erase something. Entire historical events could be altered, articles rewritten, people inserted into photographs, others removed. Wars could receive different causes. Discoveries could receive different inventors. Elias Ward stared at the machine. A printing press for history. Vale smiled. Marquez did not. Later that night, Marquez approached Father Bellini. You have Vatican clearance above mine. Bellini smiled faintly. Sometimes. The chronovisor. Bellini's expression changed. For years, rumors claimed the Vatican once possessed a device capable of viewing the past. Did it exist? Marquez asked. Bellini touched his rosary. I think something existed. What happened? It was dismantled. Why? Bellini stared at him. Because eventually it began showing things nobody asked. They named their machine the nebulizer. The device occupied a massive chamber surrounded by 12 superconducted pylons and rotating magnetic coils. On October 17 at 2:14 in the morning, they activated it. Every clock stopped at 2:14:07. The containment ring turned black. Then an image appeared. Geneva. But not their Geneva. Impossible towers filled the skyline. Vehicles moved through the air. A structure hundreds of meters tall stood beside Lake Geneva. Kenji laughed. We did it. We did it. Within days, they learned to control it. They saw underwater cities, abandoned capitals swallowed by vegetation, humans walking on Mars, nations that had never existed 30 years ago, nations that had never existed 30 years ahead, 50, 100, 50, 100. Every decision seemed to create another world. But something began changing inside the laboratory. Nightmares, deja vu, memories that didn't belong to them. Amara remembered a sister she never had. Kenji remembered dying in a motorcycle accident even though he'd never owned a motorcycle. Sophia remembered marrying a man named Victor. No Victor existed. Ward stared toward the machine. We aren't just looking through. What? Ward slowly turned. When you look through a window, he swallowed. Something can look back. The warning. Marquez returned to the tablet. The warning. For 4 days, he barely slept. Then he found a mistake. One ancient symbol translated as observe had another meaning. Exchange. Marquez called an emergency meeting. We shut it down, Roth laughed. Absolutely not. This machine isn't simply observing timelines, it's weakening whatever separates us from them. Kenji frowned. Quantum information leakage. Father Bellini whispered, when the abyss remembers you, close the door. Arjun stared toward the tablet. The people who created this technology buried it beneath 30 feet of stone. The room became quiet. They understood it, he continued, and then they hid it. Because something happened, Marquez said. Vale stood. No shutdown. Marquez stared at him. You don't have that authority. Vale smiled. You misunderstood why this project exists. The doors locked, and Marquez finally understood. They had never been brought there to decide whether the machine should be built. They were brought there to figure out how to build it. They were a construction crew. The other side. The following night, Vale's superiors ordered the final experiment. Observation wasn't enough anymore. They wanted passage. Marquez refused. So did Kenji, Amara, and Bellini. It didn't matter. The machine was already automated. At 3:03, the nebulizer activated. The portal widened. 20 feet, 30, 40. Another Geneva appeared inside of it. This one was burning. A red sky hung over ruined towers. Something enormous moved behind the clouds. Ward stepped backward. "No! Turn it off!" Helena shouted. Kenji attempted shutdown. Nothing happened. Sophia stared at the equations flooding across the monitors. "It's feeding itself." "How?" She looked at Marquez. "Gravity." The eye contracted, then expanded violently. Computers, chairs, and equipment began sliding toward it. Roth was lifted from the floor and disappeared into the darkness. Kenji reached for the emergency controls. A steel workstation tore loose and carried him into the portal. Sophia stared at the readings. "This isn't a portal anymore." Marquez looked at her. "What is it?" She looked toward the darkness. "A black hole."